Hey everybody, it's Pam from the Leadership Brief, and in this week's edition of the newsletter, I am talking with you about how to use your unique learning style in order to use and manage time to your advantage. And as we know from previous newsletters, and I recap in this edition, there's three basic types of learning styles: auditory, kinesthetic, and visual. I happen to be a pretty visual and kinesthetic learner, and so one of the things I've learned to do is employ or use a lot of tactic and visual cues that help me stay on time and on task when I need to get projects done or I need to get somewhere. And now that I do the leadership brief, that is something that I need to get out every week. And I really want to stay on top of it because I'm putting that newsletter out while also continuing to take care of clients and take client calls and manage my life and get places. And I really love doing the newsletter, and it's really important that I get this thing out and give you all a quality product. And so one of the things that I love is sticky notes and Sharpies, and so I use both. And one of the things, I'm going to turn my camera here so that you can see what I'm doing here. I set up basically sort of like a time horizon, time management continuum for myself. And so what I start with is, when I started the news brief, I wrote down all of the different topics that I want to cover, and so they're here on the board and kind of like when they might go out. And so so what I do is I put my start date. So for this week's newsletter, my start date was actually last Monday, July 15th, and then I put my completion date, which in this case is today, July 22nd. And then I also have what I call sort of critical mass, which is either Thursday or Friday, depending on what my week looks like and what's on the calendar. But in this case, my critical mass was last Thursday, July the 19th, which means I want to have the bulk of the newsletter done by Thursday, July 19th, or Friday, July 19th, excuse me, so that I can head into the weekend without a whole lot to do. It's mostly editing, refining, and running some test emails. And that's where I was at with this particular edition of the newsletter. And in order to really help me with that time horizon issue, I don't put on there like, I'm going to spend 2 hours on Monday doing this and an hour on Tuesday doing that. It does not work for me. I tend to be more like, oh, I've got time now, I'm going to get this done. Or maybe it is in my calendar that I'm going to get those things done. But in order to stay on task, it's more helpful for me to write down all sort of the basic things that need to get done. And so in this case, it's like pick the topic, brainstorm content ideas, write that unedited stream of consciousness draft of the newsletter, what I want to say, lay out the skeleton for it, create the worksheets, make sure I have all my links for products and maybe any articles or research that I use, what graphics do I want to do. And as I complete each one of these things, I move these things off of basically my time horizon. And so right now, all of these, because it's Monday and I'm finishing this up, all of these would come down, and because they're all done. And I'm actually looking for one more graphic for something, so that's gonna come over here. I actually have the graphic, but I kept it off just for this purpose. And the graphic needs to come because it's not quite done. The audio is recorded. I'm doing this video right at this very moment. We passed July 19th. My test one email has gone out. I'm going to upload this audio little video when we're done. Send myself a quick test email and see make sure all the links, all the video, all the graphics, everything is working. And then I am going to hit send and get this into your mailbox. And so hopefully what you could see in that example is how, as I pulled things off, I can see that my start date was over here. Let me turn my camera back over there for you. That my start date was there. I am at my end date, and I've moved everything out of there. And so I can see the time has marched on, and I'm now just at edit draft 3, get that one last graphic uploaded, upload this video, and hit send to get the newsletter out. Normally, all of those Post-it notes are on the ground or in the wastebasket. And quite frankly, I start over with new Post-it notes every single week. They might say the same thing every single time, but if it stays up there, you know, if it would just be all those blue Post-it notes, all the same, I actually become sort of not only time blind to it, but I can get like visually blind to it. And so I change out my Post-it notes. I've got these little, I buy these stacks of Post-it notes from Amazon, and I like just all the different colors, and I mix it up every single week so that it's new to my eyes and my brain hasn't gotten bored and is no longer paying attention to what is on my wall. So that's just a quick example of how I use some visual and tactile cues to staying on time and on top of a task, and keeps me motivated and keeps me from getting both time blind and visually blind to what's going on. I would love to hear from you guys what's working for you, so leave a comment on the blog. Have a great day. Bye.